In 2024, black voters are shocking the world. More and more evidence is coming out that proves that black people are not a monolith. Despite the popular media narrative, popular propaganda, and popular talking points that a lot of people have pushed forever. What's interesting about it is that you still see elements that try to push these talking points. You have the Ricky Smileys, you have the Roland Martins, you have the DL Hugleys, literally going out shaming people for not, quote unquote, voting based upon the expected pattern. And we know what that expected pattern is. Joe Biden said it last election. If you ain't black, then you don't know if you voting for me or Trump. Come on now. What we have here is a clip from Fox News. Warning, Fox News is using this clip as pro-Fox propaganda to propagate their talking points. However, this does have some legitimacy because it's showing that aside from the narrative that Fox News and other conservative media outlets tend to push, black people only vote based on skin color, black people have a skin color obsession, they debunk their own talking points by showing interviews and reacting to different voters who are saying, yeah, we're not really convinced about Kamala Harris. Now, as far as the whole quote unquote black people voting for black people goes and voting for skin color, when it comes to Kamala Harris, that's a little bit more of a complicated subject. If you want more insight on that, check out some of the other videos and live streams on my channel. What we're about to do now is react to this clip. Let's get it.
Well, let's talk about what's happening in Chicago, where Lawrence is, in terms of what's happened under the Biden-Harris administration. When it comes to crime, it's up 11%. That's in the year leading up to
it. Just wouldn't be Fox without talking about Chicago crime
this year, until violent crime. Also, when you look at housing, when you look at what they're supposed to bring to the city, you see people boarding up their houses, people concerned about the protest of 100,000 plus. They're worried that there's 1,700 less cops in uniform now. They're concerned they've got 400 cops from other cities who have to come in to help out. So this is an example of a liberal city run by a liberal Democrat and the Democrats that's gone awry. This is not a great example.
So now what's interesting about this is we've asked this question before, and I want to ask this question to people watching this on the live premiere and during the replay in the comment section. Is there any example of liberal leftist cities, countries, anywhere in the world that work and can be used as an example of, see, this is how liberalism, leftism, socialism works? Is there any examples of a thriving place utilizing those type of policies right now? If there is, let us know what it is. Also, Fox News is one of the media outlets that has for a very long time propagated the right-wing talking points of the bell curve, with the low impulse control, low IQ, high crime being inherent to black people. Interestingly, now what they're saying is that somehow this runs concurrent to liberalism and liberal government, which if it runs concurrent with liberalism and liberal government, how then can it at the same time be inherent to black people? I need some of my conservatives to help me out with that.
Example of what we will do if we give you the keys to the country.
It's the audacity for me. How many years have I been covering the violence in Chicago? How many kids, how many parents I've sat down with to talk about their kids being murdered? How many pleas have they said we need more cops on the street to go after these criminals? And all of a sudden, when the rich, powerful, and well-connected want to host a convention, then you send the cavalry. There were 5 people that were shot and killed in Chicago over the weekend. It happens every single weekend, every single holiday. And they've been begging. Please send us more help. Please have the National Guard on standby. But because all of the Democrats are in town, and they are the people that wanted to fund the police, by the way, all of a sudden need the police to protect their tails because there's 100,000 protesters expected to be here. All of a sudden, they care about the issue. I had Miss Moni Jacobs. Her son was killed. Still no calls. No one gives her any updates. This is what she had to say about it.
And we're losing babies. You know, we're not losing the elderly as fast as we're losing our young people. They're not even getting a chance to grow up. I'll never know what it feels like to have a grandchild from him.
And another thing that I find interesting is that when it comes to conservatives and when it comes to liberals, liberal media, conservative media, both liberal and conservative media, conservatives tend to attach crime to black people as black people being a problem. Liberals tend to pander to black people as if crime is inherently a black issue and criminal justice reform is not something that would be an improvement for the entire United States. Do you find that interesting as well?
We're losing our future.
What do you want to hear from all these leaders?
I want to know what they're going to do to protect our communities. It's everywhere, but my focus is here. This is my home. Been here all my life. I want to know what they're going to do to bring justice to the parents that are losing their kids. Like, what are you going to say to them? Well, I'm sorry, it's not working.
How about they start, guys, with what they do for themselves? I mean, they know how to protect themselves. We see what they're doing at the convention today, this week. So why aren't you providing the people of Chicago with that same standard of protection?
How about this? They're spending $400 million over the last 2 years on illegal immigrants.
Yes.
They have, by the way, they have 1,390 shooting incidents so far this year, 344 murders, 5,480 robberies, 1,217 sexual assaults. And this is where the Democrats want to display their 4 days of fun. It's kind of bizarre that they would want to underline this type of performance.
Lawrence, what's sad too is when you look at those 5 that you talk about, one was in their 30s, one was in their late 20s. Yeah. These are young people, and she said, I'll never meet my son's grandchildren.
And what's interesting about this is that these people on Fox, they act as if they're so outraged about crime. It's already been proven that crime is a result of poverty. And if we look at the poverty level and what's going on, the people in Chicago are having issues with the migrant crisis, as well as being economically divested from. However, when those people ask for policies that are necessary to provide reinvestment into the individual families and people of the community, these very Fox News hosts call it handouts. They call it handouts. So what it is that they actually want is they want handouts to be able to continue having stories handed out to them to keep themselves in business so that they can just have something to sit up here and hotbox about.
Ever have children. She said she's having to describe this or explain this to her other kids. She wants to be able to cry, and it's really, really hard, but she's trying to be strong for her other children. I mean, imagine going through that as a parent. And we're seeing that time after time. You've interviewed so many of them, the little kids that are shot at their family barbecue on their front lawn or in their backyard, and they're killed right there on the sidewalk in front of their grandmother's house. It's just heartbreaking. I wish they would do something about this.
Ultimately, they're having the DNC in Chicago because it's a reliably Democratic stronghold. However, Lawrence went back to church yesterday, where Corey Brooks is, and spoke to some of the parishioners there, and things seem to be changing. Watch this.
So, Pastor, you got the DNC that is here this week. How do you feel about that?
It's kind of bittersweet. I'm glad for the city of Chicago that we get to host a major convention. The bitter part of it is that I don't agree with any of the principles. And so the policies that they use doesn't benefit our community.
What do you think is the number one issue facing Chicago right now?
Well, definitely the number one issue is the violence in Chicago.
If you say that violence is the number one issue, then at the same time, with the correlations and causations between violence and poverty, then you also have to say poverty. Now, mind you, we all know the racial wealth gap, and the cause of racial wealth gap is for centuries of economic disinvestment by the United States government, capitalized on and taken a part of by the population at large, the government, and the businesses. However, when it comes to directly addressing that, the Democrats do nothing to directly address that. And the conservatives, the Republicans, these very good Americans here on Fox, they downplay the attachment of that issue to the causes of a lot of these problems. So now here is my question for everybody watching this video. Where exactly does that leave you?
Violence.
The economy is a big question mark, you know. You go to the grocery store, you know, eggs, bread, just small items are large in price now.
I think for my congregation and for others, it's kind of changing a little bit because so many people don't agree with the policies. And so I think there's definitely growth in my church as far as being more independent in their thinking. And I see that throughout the community as well.
I believe the conservative principles are much better for us as a nation and for us as a people.
Neither side has done really well.
You're not pleased.
Now, I agree with this brother right here. Neither side has done really well. However, I do slightly agree with the brother before him as well. And I do believe that there is evidence that shows that conservative policies, not conservatives, you know what I'm saying? Conservative policies in some instances are a better facilitator of economic stimulation. If you guys agree with that, please let me know in the comment section. If you disagree, please let me know, and let me know why you disagree.
It's with any side.
No.
Where are you leaning right now when it comes to the presidency?
Probably toward Kamala.
I'm undecided.
I'm going to say at this point, I don't know who's best, because we haven't really heard their plans or intentions, how to solve the issues.
My vote would be for Kamala Harris. It'd be historical for one, first black female.
Now, here's my thing, right? What that woman said is paramount. And the reason why it's paramount is because she says we haven't heard any of their policies. And I would agree. They haven't really said much about their policies. And then what they've said about the policies that have been discussed, it's all been slammed as incomplete and inconsistent. So here's my question. If these individuals have had 4 years to be president and have majorities and run the government, they're going for another 4 years. They've had 4 days to discuss their policies and standings, and all they've done is mentioned Trump more than they've mentioned any policies. What is the obvious thing to do?
President,
Does that put extra weight on your decision this election time?
Absolutely not.
I would say
None at all.
No.
Yes, there's definitely a lot more pressure.
I want to hear more about what she's going to do, because being black is one thing, but we've had black people to disappoint us. Being a woman is one thing, but we've had women to disappoint us.
And remember, this is an individual who, there's the questions that are out as far as that goes. And then there's still the question that is also out that a lot of her colleagues don't even know what a woman is. So it's interesting how this is the party of DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and identity politics. Yet when it comes time to actually nail down an identity, nobody knows what identity they are.
So I think the main theme is, what is your platform?
My thing is, it's about time for the black community to start looking at the Republican Party. The Republican Party is pro-family, they're pro-business, they're pro-education, school choice. I mean, come on. It's time to do something a little bit different.
I hate identity politics. The fact that people believe that you have.
Well, my brother, all politics are identity politics. If you guys agree with the uncomfortable truth that all politics are identity politics, let me know in the comment section. If all politics are not identity politics, let me know how they're not.
To vote for a person just because they're black or just because they're a woman is totally opposite of what we need to be doing. We need to make sure that we vote for people that align with our policies.
So early in the show, I talked about the stuff that worries me.
So what's interesting about this interview is that these people are befuddled, the three at the bottom, because they never step outside of their comfort zone and they literally have no idea that there's people like this that exist. Oh my goodness. You mean to tell me that there's black people that don't fit our idiotic talking points? Yeah.
I want to talk about what actually encourages me. Two things. The people that are on the south side of Chicago that I spoke with yesterday are saying the same thing that we're hearing in diners all over America, right? In the middle of America, especially. They're saying things aren't going well. The economy. I notice it when I go to the grocery store. The second thing that encourages me is that there's still a lot of undecided voters. And the question is, who is the candidate that's going to paint the best message that there's going to be a greater America? We'll have to see. I mean, we still got a lot of time, guys.
Right. I know the ticket in Chicago running on joy.
There's going to be a lot of joy.
Because there's so much joy going on right now.
Right.
I think that there'll be joy when people finally realize what we need to do in order to make the changes that we need to make in order to get where we need to be. However, if you ask me, from the responses in this interview and what a lot of those people said who are paying attention to the DNC, I definitely am very impressed. I'm very glad, and it's wonderful to see the evolution. You guys let me know what you think. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share it to your social media, and I will catch you on the next one. All right, peace.